welcome back to the State Champs studio for another episode of State Champs Hangtime. I'm your host, Elizabeth Kuhn, here with our basketball analyst, Lexi Ayala. The playoffs are right around the corner. This season is flying by.
And when playoffs start, everyone gets their record back 0-0 because guess what? The road to the Breslin doesn't matter about your record. It matters game by game. If you lose, you're done.
All right, let's jump right into our first one in the Cardinal Division final game of the Catholic League. St. Catherine taking on Bishop Foley at Callahan Hall, home of Detroit Mercy. St. Catherine took home the title win 47-40. They're sporting some big words on their backs.
Yeah, they don't just talk the talk with this motto, they walk the walk, and that's destroy excuses. And you can tell that they live by that down low in the paint. This entire team of St. Catherine Siena, they embrace contact and they draw fouls, going up strong with authority. Forward Haley Bauman has a long wingspan and a knack for finding the ball, whether it be a rebound or even an off-the-target pass. She does a good job at gathering herself before going up strong for multiple and ones. And St. Catherine also has a really good inside-outside game with Bauman working the blocks and guard Hannah Leash getting it to go from deep. Leash has zero hesitation with her shot from beyond the arc, and it looks beautiful.
And we'll move on to the Bishop Division title. Mercy took on Ann Arbor. Father Gabriel Richard came out on top with this one, 41-27, a defensive battle from both of these teams. Lexi, why was the defense so tough?
The defense was so tough because honestly, both head coaches from Farmington Hills Mercy and Ann Arbor Father Gabriel Richard, they came up with a really solid defensive game plan. And it turns out that zone defense is really tough for a lot of hoopers to go against. For me personally, when you're thinking of a woman-to-woman defense, you're like, okay, all I have to do is take this person one-on-one. But when you're going against a zone defense, you have to find the tiny little holes, look at the big picture of the entire thing, and execute that way. But when Gabriel Richard worked it, they worked it. When they started setting screens at the top of the guards of the Mercy zone, they were able to get the ball into the paint from the inside out, force the defense to collapse. That's when the offense looked seamless for the Irish because they are lethal from three when they're open.
Next up, the PSL Championships for the second year in a row. Detroit Renaissance battled it out for the trophy, this year taking on Cass Tech. Renaissance secured the win, but they had a big injury earlier in the season. We're seeing some of the other players step up big time. Why is that so important?
Because it has to be next woman up mentality. This happens in the game of basketball. Injuries happen, and it can be your floor general, your point guard. This time it was point guard Nevaeh Otis, who went down for the rest of the season a few games ago from an ACL injury. However, point guard Christian Sanders stepped up big time. She's been running that point guard spot with a really good sneaky ability of, after she passes that ball off, running to an open spot and being able to make something happen scoring-wise. And even without Otis, Renaissance still knows how to pass that rock. The team chemistry is beautiful, and they have a strong post presence in forward Anaya Hardy. She goes up strong on offense, gets a lot of her points off of offensive rebounding and second chance points, which can be killer for the opponent. Renaissance also had a guard, Amaya Espanol, as the defensive dominator, turning her defense into offense. However, I am just still a little worried with Otis being out, how far they can run on that road to the Breslin without their floor general.
Renaissance going to be taking on Father Gabriel Richard on Thursday, weather pending. What do you think of that matchup?
I am praying that this game continues and stays despite the snowstorm, because these are two teams that may or may not be in Big Lexi's Big Ten this week. This is a watch list game.
We're going to take a quick timeout and check in with our third member of the team, Carol Lyles, who sat down with DeWitt's head coach, Bill McCullen, for an exciting BCAM Chalk Talk.
Well, you became the 15th girls basketball coach in MHSAA history to reach 500 wins. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
But we want to know.
It's been a crazy weekend so far. So.
Absolutely, I can imagine. I want to know, what was it like, going all throughout that game and the clock's winding down. You're at 10 seconds left. What's going through your head? Are you thinking about the 500th win?
Well, I started to figure out that something was being planned when I started to see more and more people showing up at the game, former players. Saw one of my sons come in, and it's not unusual for him to make it to a game, but it was a really bad night on Thursday, and no one should have been on the roads. So when I saw him and some of the older alumni, I knew that they were planning something for post game.
To catch that whole interview, just head over to the State Champs YouTube page. All you need to do is search State Champs Net. All right, let's check in now with Big Lexi's Big Ten. The second week in a row, the number one spot has been changed. West Bloomfield sitting on top now. Why did they deserve to be in that spot?
Liz, I was feeling so conflicted with Big Lexi's Big Ten this week because Renaissance, I felt they really deserved to be at that number one spot last week. They were playing wonderfully, and they still are. So it's no knock to Renaissance that they're not at the number one spot this week, but just after finding out that point guard Nevaeh Otis went down, I just don't know if they have that same tenacity when it comes to the tougher teams. However, when it comes to West Bloomfield, I've been taking a lot of things into consideration when it comes to these rankings. And of course, record matters. However, that's not the only thing that I give value to. I actually give some value in my ranking system, even for a loss, if that loss is by some really good competition. And I believe West Bloomfield is one of the most battle-tested teams in the state, with wins over Detroit Edison and the overtime 86-83 win over Kenwood Chicago. And I even give weight to their 86-74 loss against South Bend, Washington, because they are Indiana's reigning state champs and they haven't had a loss at all this season. The only knock that I give West Bloomfield is the loss against Arbor Prep.
Grand Rapids West Catholic held that number one spot for weeks. They're bumped down to number 3 now with an undefeated record. Why?
Well, Liz, I didn't want to do it, but honestly, Grand Rapids West Catholic, they have not played any tough competition since December 22nd when they had that Rockford win. Their last game against Fruitport, 74-2. I don't know if that's getting them battle tested enough for that road to the Breslin, so that's why I had to make them number 3 now. And Rockford sits at number 4 because Rockford's only loss of this season is to Grand Rapids West Catholic. And to round out the top 5, we have number 5 is Detroit Edison. I actually did give Detroit Edison weight for a loss, and that loss was against my number 1 ranked team, West Bloomfield. It was a close loss. That's why I think West Bloomfield deserves to be at number 5.
And at number 6, Lake Fenton, number 7, Carmen Ainsworth, number 8, Chelsea, 9, Hazlitt, and number 10, a new team, Ann Arbor father Gabriel Richard after beating Farmington Hills Mercy.
And make sure to go check out the rankings at statechampsw.com because we just gave you Big Lexi's Big Ten, but we have the Super 20 on our website for State Champs 20th anniversary, and there's some new teams on that list, so make sure to check it out.
All right, that's all we got for this week, so make sure you guys tune in next week for another episode of State Champs Hangtime.
State Champs Hangtime is presented by Lawrence Technological University. Visit ltuathletics.com and recruit yourself. Hangtime is also brought to you by the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics. The Michigan Army National Guard, a proud partner of the MHSAA. The Detroit Athletic Club Foundation's Athlete of the Year Awards. Applications are being accepted now until March 6th, 2023 for the male and female high school athletes of the year. Check out previous winners and download the application today at dacathleteoftheyear.com. And the Basketball Coaches Association of Michigan. Find out more at bcam.org.